Welcome. Bodycomb, a worship associate for the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota, as well as the congregational liaison for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. We especially want to welcome our visitors both on campus and over live stream. We invite our visitors to participate in any of our events. We welcome visitors to find out more about us and Unitarian Universalism by registering on our virtual guest book, which you can find via a link on the homepage of our website at uusrq.org. If you are here in person, there's a sign-up sheet for visitors at the welcome table outside. If you sign up, we'll send you our weekly newsletter, which is really long, and Zoom links to our virtual events. We invite you to join us for coffee and conversation after the service, and we look forward to getting to know each other. This morning, we're welcoming guest minister, the Reverend Laura Randall from the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. The acronyms you'll hear probably today are UUSC. It's very close to UUSRQ. But anyway, if you hear UUSC, it means that's probably coming from Reverend Laura. As the Director of Congregational Relations at the Service Committee, the Reverend Randall facilitates partnerships to strengthen the impact of the Service Committee and the social justice reach of the Unitarian Universalist communities. Prior to joining UUSC, Laura's ministry included serving as the Legacy Campaign Director for the Unitarian Universalist Association and Hospice Chaplaincy. She lives in Medford, Massachusetts with her spouse and their 2 dogs. As a heads up for you today is our Share the Plate that will be given to the Unitarian Universalist Committee later in the service when we share our treasures during the offering. Before we get on to any announcements, I would like to take a moment to honor the indigenous tribes that inhabited this land we now stand on. The Calusa, Uzita, Tocobaga, Timucuan, and Seminole peoples. The Miccosukee, Seminole, and Black Seminoles are still with us further south today. The first announcement is from Sharon Howard, our Social Justice Chair. Tomorrow night on Zoom at 8 p.m., UU Congresswoman, now she's a UU, Judy Chu, will talk to us about our path forward as Unitarian Universalists as we attempt to meet the moment. You know what moment I'm talking about, I guess. You can register for this event by going to the Contact Weekly newsletter, which is in the social justice section. Representative Chu is from California and has represented that state since 2009. She currently serves on the powerful House and Ways and Means Committee, which has jurisdiction over taxes, revenues, Social Security, and Medicare legislation. She's also a member of the subcommittee on health that has oversight on healthcare reform and crucial safety net programs. So if you want to join on that, go to the contact, and there's a button to push their registration. Now we'd like to hear from Joan Bennett.
Hello, I'm Joan Bennett, and I have been a member here for 24 years. In some early years, I came to services, I ate a cookie, and I left. Occasionally, I would volunteer for some short-term project that usually involved cooking and baking. But as time passed, my commitment to UU values grew. My connection to people in our many programs grew. From that commitment came friends and a better understanding of our diverse, outspoken, opinionated, and very active membership. And that's all of you. I became part of this community, and now it's my community. Taking action and taking a stand are vital as we continue our involvement at UU and in the Sarasota and Manatee areas. I have found belonging, spiritual growth, and support on my life journey. All of these things are included in our vision statement, and they're real. But I'm here today to talk about stewardship. Every organization needs financial support. Our staff, our campus, and our many programs cannot function without our giving. We don't charge dues, we don't ask you to tithe, but we do ask you to take a hard and loving look at what UU Sarasota means to you. Give from your heart, give from your personal circumstances. Complete your pledge card and turn it in as you head for that cookie table, and I'll be right behind you. I give because I want to, I give because I can, and so can you.
Awake now, yeah. Good morning, everyone. Our opening reading is from Howard Zinn. He writes, "To be hopeful in bad times is not just foolishly romantic. It is based on the fact that human history is a history not only of cruelty, but also of compassion, sacrifice, courage, and kindness. What we choose to emphasize in this complex history will determine our lives. If we see only the worst, it destroys our capacity to do something. If we remember those times and places, and there are so many, where people have behaved magnificently, this gives us the energy to act, and at least the possibility of sending this spinning top of a world in a different direction. And if we do act in however small a way, we don't have to wait for some grand utopian future. The future is an infinite succession of presents. And to live now as we think human beings should live, in defiance of all that is bad around us, is in itself a marvelous victory."
Please join me this morning as we light the chalice. We are affirming our value of justice, which is printed in your order of service and back there. All together, we work to be a diverse, multicultural, beloved community where all feel.
Good morning, everyone. So today's story is A Flicker of Hope by Julia Cook, illustrated by Mackenzie Haley and adapted by me. Have you ever felt like I do? My flame used to be bright and strong, but now it's just a flicker. I have all of these dark clouds hovering over me, but they don't feel like clouds to me. They feel like mountains. Will the wildfires get close to my house? What if Mama and Papa are arrested while I'm at school? Who will take care of me? Where will I live? How can I protect my little brother? Will I ever fit in? I try hard to push them away, but they keep coming back, and I'm just so tired. You know, a brighter flame could lighten up those heavy clouds of yours. Then they'd be easier to push away. You can see them too? No, they're your clouds. Only you can see them. But I can tell your flame isn't very bright right now. Looks like you could use a little boost of hope. Wow, how do you do that? Well, since you're standing right underneath the clouds, all you can see is the dark. They may seem impossible to move. But when you reach out for help, and others can share their gifts with you, amazing things can happen when you use your gifts. Gifts? What gifts? I don't have any gifts. Your unique light is your priceless gift. No one can light up the world around you like you can. Oh, well, I can't light up anything anymore around me. I don't have it in me. Why? Well, because I can't do anything right. Mom is always yelling. My grades aren't good. Everything I try, I'm just not good enough. And I'm different from others. People are mean to me or think I am dumb. My teacher last year, Mrs. Turner, said I could do anything that I could dream, but it would take some hard work and persistence and practice. But she left our school, and now everyone laughs at my dreams. Today is just really hard, and I don't see how tomorrow is going to get any better. In fact, it could just get worse. I'm running out of hope. Well, then let me give you another little boost. Wow, look how beautiful your light is. You know, when your clouds get too dark and too heavy to push away, reach out and ask, can I borrow some light? I'm having a really bad day. Hope builders are everywhere, so grab some courage and ask for help, and don't worry about being too proud. Everyone needs somebody sometimes to help them. And you will find those that will show kindness and give you joy. Some will give you courage and purpose and strength to know that you are worthy. And you have to ask in a bunch of different ways until you find someone who says yes. Just don't ever stop asking. You have to find a way to keep your flame of hope lit no matter what. Because if your flame of hope goes out, you might not be able to relight it. And that would be the saddest thing ever, because you are needed. You are here for a reason. No one else in this world has a light like yours. I used to have dark clouds too, but then I learned that the world is better with my light in it, especially when I can share it with others to give them hope. Together we can all light this world. Then amazing things can happen. So when I saw your flame, I just knew I needed to give you a little boost of hope. See, that's what a hope builder does. When you share your light, one little candle can grow into a whole hope-building community. You know, a brighter flame can lighten up those heavy clouds of yours. Then they'd be easier to push away. You can see them too? No, they're your clouds. Only you can see them. But I can tell your flame isn't very bright right now. Looks like you could use a little boost of hope. There are times when each of us may feel under a heavy cloud of uncertainty and fear. It could be that laws are changing, people are being unfair or unkind to keep power, or to make people afraid to stand up to a bully. It could be unforeseen accidents like breaking your arm or developing long COVID. Sometimes we can only see the darkness. And for many of us, it is hard to ask for help, though we should, because we are worthy of it. We forget that each of us has a light to share and to shine and to lift others up. We are part of this hope-building community. So reach out to those whose flame may be dimmed. Sometimes just being there is all that someone needs to rekindle their flame. So I now invite any children and youth to join their teachers, Miss Julie and Miss Helen and Mr. Chris, in their classrooms today to learn about Chinese New Year and Buddhism. Thank you.
Now is the time in our service when we can find a center in the midst of a turning and turbulent world. I invite you to take a breath as we enter into a time of reflection, silence, and song. These words are from the Reverend A.J. Van Tine, a prayer for when everything crumbles to dust. Great mystery, which grounds and surrounds us, small spark of life and possibility that lives within us even when all else is crumbling to dust. Be with us in our confusion, fear, and even despair. Lead us to navigate them as slowly as possible, resisting the impulse to soothe, to blame, to seek things that feel better than the hurt and the heaviness, but which ultimately leave us isolated or complacent or too suspicious of each other. Let us not flee from our grief, but allow our hearts to be broken open again and again, grieving for all that has already been lost and all that is threatened now. Spirit of life and love and regeneration, help us to feel the wisdom in our bodies. Even when so much is going so wrong, our hearts beat with gratitude for blessings, for beauty and joy stubbornly breaking through, for the compassionate companionship of community, which welcomes all that we bring with us in these times and doesn't ask us to be smaller than we really are, for solidarity and mutual aid, for the trees and the wind and the stars, their cosmic witness soothing our animal souls, reminding us of the deep impermanence and deep interconnectedness of all things. Spirit of transformation, may our hearts break open and stretch out to join with the hearts of others who yearn for a freer world. Each heart a building block of a better society. Each life lived for hope and resistance, a prayer for a nobler world. Amen, and blessed be. Let us be held together in silence. Our second reading this morning is a poem from Julian Jamaica Soto called In Case of Apocalypses. In case of apocalypses, the box said in old-fashioned type, break glass immediately. Apocalypse has never been part of my theology, but the way things are going, I might just reconsider. So I leaned in closer and pulled a note from the top of the box. Hello, friend, it said. We don't know when you're reading this, but we hope the ends haven't yet justified the means. Every time it has happened so far, we found that the end of the world needed fewer tinned beans and more fuzzy blankets, more cozy novels and fewer weapons of war, more protest songs, more baking opas, more stuffies and hugs, more connections and mutual aid, and holding each other's capes while we change. Just as many doctors and shopkeepers and nurses and teachers, and to the eternal sadness of our pacifist hearts, people to charge the tanks driven by protectors. But we digress. The point is, the end of the world does have evil, but defeating it looks a lot less like leaping tall buildings in a single bound, and a lot more like breaking structures that never should have been built that shape to begin with. So we put together this box for the next time the world ends. And since we didn't want you to wait too long to break the glass, we wanted to tell everyone what's in it, and that it refills when it needs to. There's already enough trouble and selfishness and hopelessness and loneliness in the world. The next time the world ends, we thought, you might need more joy, more determination, more recognition of each other's worthiness, and definitely a good amount of small animal snuggles, and a whole heap of justice, and of course, plenty of imagination. We've added a few surprises, but only good ones. Nobody wants a jump scare when the world is already ending. And way down at the bottom, when you think you've gotten it all, you'll find some sacred rage, because you'll need that too when you're remaking the world. Oh. I love that poem. It's so good to be with you this morning, Sarasota friends, in a time when we need community so very much. Many of us are in the midst of deep grief after November's election. And this grief has likely intensified this week following the inauguration, now that the horrific actions weaponizing the federal government against immigrants, gender-expansive people, women, people of color, and our very planet that the new administration has been promising have been swiftly put into action. Grief is loud and messy and painful, and it must be felt if we're going to be able to transform this grief into something that supports life. Grief ignored and buried will fester within us and come out in destructive ways in the future. So I want to encourage us not to avoid or rush past this grief. There's no right or wrong way to do this, and it will look different for everyone. Reach towards the coping mechanisms that foster grounding and connection. And let's give each other a lot of grace right now. It's okay not to be okay. One of the grounding practices I frequently reached for when despair wraps its fist around my heart is to look to the justice movements of the past and how justice makers around the world carry forward this legacy today. Working for the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, better known as UUSC, I get to witness the incredible tapestry of connections and imagination that make them possible. In the wake of the U.S. presidential election, many of our international partners reached out to us offering concern, solidarity, and perspective. So many of our partners work for justice in the context of authoritarian regimes and state violence. They know what it takes to engage in effective resistance and to prioritize adaptability, resilience, and commitment to deeply held values above all. They know how to survive and even thrive through community care, mutuality, and persistent hope. One of our partners, Juan Jose in Honduras, wrote to us on November 6th that the resistance of centuries makes us strong. We have examples so close to us to draw on from perspective. We have so many examples through our partners at UUSC. Indigenous communities in resistance for 500 years in Guatemala, helping bring about a previously unexpected moment of real democracy. The women of FEM, a feminist farming cooperative in Nicaragua, literally cultivating life and consciousness under an authoritarian regime. The entirety of the Honduran water defenders, organizing in the Aguan and beyond, that keeps moving, keeps focus on justice and care for the earth, even as we grieve and rage at what is being taken from them and from us and from the land. Let us keep these examples before us as we look for solutions in global solidarity and mutual care, instead of American exceptionalism and individualism that has plagued our culture for so long. UUSC is an international human rights organization grounded in Unitarian Universalism that has been a powerful force for justice since its founding in 1940 in response to the incursion of Nazism in Europe. UUSC's work is based on a partnership model that centers the experience and leadership of the people who are most impacted by injustice. This partnership includes support of some of the scrappiest, most creative, and courageous groups of people you can imagine who are working for justice under very dangerous conditions. The founding of UUSC in response to fascism seems particularly apt right now, and it seems like a good time for me to retell the story of our most beloved symbol as Unitarian Universalists, the chalice. Our chalice, as sacred as it is to us, wasn't always the symbol of the Unitarian and the Universalist faiths. In 1940, the Reverend Dr. Charles Rindjoy was sent by the newly created Unitarian Service Committee to Lisbon, Portugal, which is one of the few open ports in Europe at the time, and therefore saw many refugees who were fleeing the Nazi regime. Many of these refugees had to flee without any of the identification papers that were required to cross borders, so Joy decided to start making identification papers issued by USC itself. This was uncharted water, but instead of focusing on the risks that he and the organization might be taking by doing this, Joy focused instead on saving the lives of those fleeing fascism. He also decided that these papers needed a seal to look as official as other travel papers. And so he asked Hans Dusch, an Austrian refugee and artist working in Lisbon, to create one. And the result was the basis of the flaming chalice as we know it now. And while all this was happening, Waitstill and Martha Sharp were also sent to Europe by USC, where they were not only falsifying documents to get people out, but also laundering money when necessary. UUSC's founders lived by the principle that good people disobey bad laws. Since its inception, the thing that binds all of us as Unitarian Universalists together, the Chalice, was founded on our commitment to human rights and to fighting fascism. And this commitment is calling us to that goal today as well. As we partner with grassroots organizations around the world and right here in the United States to resist oppressive systems and advance human rights for all people. We use the word partner and partnership a great deal at UUSC because our grassroots partners, Small groups of leaders and visionaries who are directly impacted by oppression and human rights violations are at the center of our work. Because we believe that communities bearing the brunt of climate-forced displacement, criminalization, and humanitarian crisis are also the communities that hold the solutions. This belief is at the core of everything we do at UUSC. This belief in the inherent worth and power of every person. That's why we engage in partnerships, not transactions. UUSC's family of grassroots partners includes Bodycomb, a youth-led organization in the Marshall Islands helping their community heal from the destructive legacy of nuclear testing by the United States while envisioning a sustainable future for the Marshallese people. It includes GAR, a group based in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, that provides crucial aid to repatriated Haitians and fights for their rights to be respected across borders. It includes Queers Vit, an organization offering resources and companionship to the queer community in Ukraine who've been impacted by Russia's invasion. And it includes the Pink Haven Coalition, a network of activists and organizations in North America working to help trans and gender-expansive people who are fleeing unsafe states. This is a small sampling of UUSC's more than 60 grassroots partners in 20 countries. And these organizations might seem disparate. What does a group of young people in the Marshall Islands seeking to preserve their cultural heritage and protect their communities from the climate crisis have to do with trans people being forced to flee their homes in the United States? What does aid for queer refugees in Eastern Europe have to do with systemic racism against Haitian migrants? Reverend Dr. King said, "We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied together in a single garment of destiny. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Our struggles for justice are all connected. Militarized violence and the refugee crisis in Ukraine and in Burma and the United States are connected. Anti-immigrant rhetoric, gender essentialism, and the rise of fascism in Eastern Europe and in the United States are connected. Indigenous people losing their homes to the effects of climate change in the South Pacific, in Alaska, in Louisiana, are connected. This is why global solidarity is so important, especially now. We need to be able to see these threads of connections no matter where we are located and what justice work we are furthering. Because, friends, the time for going it alone, if there ever was such a time, is well and truly over, right? The time for silos, for infighting, for looking away when we don't see how something impacts us directly is over. Movement leaders and justice workers have been saying this for generations. Now is the time for community, for recognizing our interdependence, for exercising our power when we come together in coalition. This is imperfect and uncomfortable work. It can be confusing and frustrating work, but it is also joyful and soul-stretching work. And this does not mean I'm saying that we as individuals can do or should try to do everything. There are no heroes in justice work. What there are communities of trust, where everyone does what they can and follows the leadership of those bearing the brunt of injustice. This is what we are being called to now. This is justice work that keeps love at the center. Writer and historian Rebecca Solnit wrote following the election that they want you to feel powerless and to surrender and to let them trample everything, and you're not going to let them. You're not giving up, and neither am I. The fact that we cannot save everything does not mean that we cannot save anything, and everything that we can save is worth saving. Remember what you love. Remember what loves you. And remember in this tide of hate what love is. You can be heartbroken or furious or both at once. You can scream in your car or on a cliff. You can also get up tomorrow and water the flowers and call someone who's upset and check your equipment for going onward. A lot of us are going to come under direct attack, and a lot of us are going to resist by building solidarity and sanctuary. Gather up your resources, the metaphysical ones that are the heart and soul and care, as well as the practical ones. People kept the faith in the dictatorships of South America in the 1970s and 80s, in the East Bloc countries and in the USSR. Women are protesting right now in Iran, and people there are writing poetry. There is no alternative to persevering, and that does not require you to feel good. You can keep walking whether it's sunny or raining. Take care of yourself, and remember that taking care of something else is an important part of taking care of yourself. Because you are interwoven with 10 trillion things in this single garment of destiny that has been stained and torn, but is still being woven and mended and washed. My colleague in New Orleans, the Reverend Sarah Green, told a story about her children who had been raised in Tennessee and were about to go camping at a state park in Louisiana for the first time. They had a lot of questions, especially about alligators. Perhaps those of you who aren't native to Florida can relate. They asked, what do they eat? Are they fast? What do you do if one is chasing you? She told them that alligators eat what they can catch. Yes, they are fast, and she offered them several options in case it happened that an alligator started to chase them, including running in a zigzag pattern or hitting the alligator sharply on the snout with a stick. You don't have to lay down and get eaten, she told them. You have options. Beloved ancestor Bell Hooks wrote, one of the most vital ways we sustain ourselves is by building communities of resistance, places where we know we are not alone. Our Unitarian Universalist communities, this congregation, UUSC, every mutual aid and global solidarity effort, all of our libraries, all communities of resistance, places where we know we are not alone. This is where we are invited to show up and live through this together. We are linked together in this work, friends, both because of our shared Unitarian Universalist values and also by the acts of imagination we engage in every time we put these values into action. We come together not just to negate the harm being done by those who seek power by sowing fear, but to actively work towards a vision of a future where all are welcomed, honored, and celebrated. A future that is often called the beloved community. But before we can build the beloved community, we have to be able to imagine it. We have to move from a place of reaction to creation. Imagination is one of the most powerful tools we have as we create and sustain communities of resistance and resilience. Imagination is a powerful antidote to fear, to apathy, and to compliance. One of the many gems of wisdom that activist Adrienne Marie Brown offers us is that if we are not organized towards what we really want and what we really long for, We will always settle for just reacting and trying to stop something bad from happening. I can certainly resonate with that feeling of always needing to react against something bad, while at the same time understanding on a cellular level how frustrating and demoralizing that can be. Perhaps some of you have experienced this as well. If we want to do our justice work more effectively and faithfully, we have to have a vision for the world we want, not just the world we don't want. So I'm going to invite us now into a visioning exercise of practicing what the beloved community can actually look and feel like, to practice being there in our entirety. If you've ever done guided meditation before, this will be familiar. So I ask that you settle your body into a comfortable position. Maybe that means grounding your feet on the floor like the roots of a great oak tree. Maybe that means relaxing your head, letting your chin dip down so that your head is closer to your heart. Maybe that means leaning back so your head is tipped towards the sky. Maybe it's something different for you. If you're comfortable doing so, close your eyes or soften your gaze. Take a deep breath in. And as you release this breath, notice your muscles. Are they clenched from worry? Take another breath in. And as you release this breath, try to soften those muscles. Keep breathing. Now, in this more relaxed state, imagine that we've made it. We are home. We are in the beloved community where there is no war and no poverty, no ICE, no detention centers, no families afraid to leave their homes. Bring yourself into that future time when we have arrived and we are together in the beloved community. Notice all the senses that are being activated. They may be different for each of us. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? What can you feel? Who is there with you? What are we doing together? Take a deep breath in as you continue to notice these things. Slowly breathe out. As we come back to the present moment, notice how your time in the beloved community made you feel. Did something stick with you in particular? A sound, an image, a scent? My colleague Heather Vickery taught me this practice, and it has had a profound impact both on my ability to stay in this work for the long haul and also how I do the work right now. Because I'm sure you know as well as I do that it's a lot easier being the person you want to be in the world when you are filled with possibility rather than frustration and fear. When I imagine the beloved community, what I experience is a community garden. It's toward the end of summer when the squash and the peppers are blushing with their final colors and are almost ready to eat. The air has that good, rich scent of earth that has been baking in the sun after a drenching morning rainstorm. Neighbors talk as we busy ourselves with weeding and pruning, already talking about how we're going to make a bigger garden next year with more beds, raised beds high enough for more people in a chair to tend the plants from a seated position. As I'm brought back to this place, I know that the food we are growing tastes like the joy of knowing that no one is hungry. That the laughter I hear sounds like true liberation, the type of laughter that can only be heard when no one is in danger. And that the people I'm with feel like home, because I know everyone in the world has shelter. Just talking about it with you now fills me with a sense of well-being. I miss that world, even though I've never physically been there. When I'm struggling with all the injustices of the world and feeling overwhelmed and like I have to respond to all of them, or feeling like nothing I can do will ever make a real difference, I go back to this place. I let it wash over me and I ask myself, what will get us closer to that world? How am I different when I imagine that I'm in that place, and how can I start living that way in the here and now? What is my work to do, the work that combines my passions and my skills, that gets us closer to the beloved community? Now I'll ask you these same questions. How will you get to your vision of the beloved community? And this is a question to ask you yourself as an individual, but also to ask yourselves as a congregation. What is your collective vision for the beloved community, UUs of Sarasota? What does your mosaic of dreams look like? And how will you together get closer to that vision of the beloved community? And then, what will you do to make that vision even larger? By being in solidarity with and sharing resources with UUSC partners, you are saying yes to justice, yes to community, yes to that which affirms life. This is one of the countless ways that we become beloved community, even as we seek to create it. This is one of the many beautiful mysteries of beloved community. It is something we become even as we reach for it. The beloved community both is here and it's on its way, and it will never fully be realized. For even as we create a more just and loving world we dream of today, new people with new imaginative horizons will arrive, sharing with us their visions for what radical love and radical welcome will call us to next. And that, too, is beloved community. We each have a role to play in its creation. Each of us bringing our broken, growing selves in service to this wholeness, recognizing that your liberation is bound up with mine and everyone else's. I won't minimize the moment that we are in right now. Things are very, very bad. And, as Reverend Green reminds us, we don't have to lay down and get eaten. We have options. Our justice-loving ancestors are showing us the way. Our global partners in the movement for human rights and climate justice are showing us the way. Our Unitarian Universalist values are showing us the way. Stay with us, friends. Find your people and get to work. Together we will mourn and resist, disrupt and heal, weep, sing, and imagine. Together we will persevere. And I want to thank you, Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota, for your commitment to justice. If you want to connect more deeply with the justice work happening at UUSC, please see me after the service, or there's a sign-up sheet on the table out there. May the faith of our ancestors and the example of our global partners in the justice movement continue to be a guiding force for us today and in the years to come. Amen. Blessed be.
After that, I know you all are ready to commit to our justice work happening here and also partnering with the UU Service Committee. I know that you will find in your hearts to support the work of this congregation with your generosity for our offering, as well as our monthly Share the Plate. So whatever donations are made other than the pledge payments will go to the Service Committee. And if you are planning to renew your membership to the Service Committee, or if you wish to join for the very first time, some of you have envelopes in your orders of service, some of you don't. There's more envelopes out at the table. Please write your checks to UUSRQ and put UUSC in the memo line. For membership, $40 will get you a full membership to the Service Committee, and if feeling so moved, $150 and up will be matched by a very well-endowed congregation, the Shelter Rock UU on Long Island. You can also join the Service Committee by going to uusc.org. You have lots of choices. We make it easy. You can also make this morning's offering here on your cell phone, or if you are watching remotely, there is a link to donate in the description of the YouTube video or the QR code in your order of service. Let this sacred time begin.
Let's sing. Our closing, Our closing hymn is the Fire of Commitment, and I just wanted to point out that the lyrics were written by the Reverend Mary Catherine Mourn, president of UUSC. our work has just begun. The work of holding one another and this community in love, the work of radical inclusion, the work of collective liberation, the work of this beloved community, a beloved community of which we are all a part, a place where we are welcomed, respected, valued, and cherished, a place where we belong. Amen. We will now extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry